Welcome to beautiful Bukidnon, one of the Philippines' southern provinces and a leader in agricultural production. This rich mountainous province is home to more than 120,000 farms, utilizing about 323,000 hectares of its fertile land, with many more hectares still underutilized. With a dominantly agri-industrial economy, the province is capable of producing both tropical as well as temperate crops, given Bukidnon's undulating topography. From the rice-growing areas of Valencia at sea level to the 6,000 feet elevated highland areas of Miarayon, nestled at the foothills of Mount Kitanglad, peaking at about 9,300 feet and second only to Mount Apo. While Bukidnon and its surrounding areas in Misamis Oriental are prime growing locations for major food companies growing pineapples and bananas, the commercial opportunities for small landowners and farmers have been limited, notwithstanding land grants to indigenous tribes under the IPRA law, as well as lands to agrarian reform beneficiaries under CARP. Lacking access to key resources such as capital, technologies, markets, and management know-how, land grantees have remained in subsistence backyard agriculture, selling their produce to local traders also struggling with poor roads and inadequate post-harvest facilities. The last alternative remaining, leasing out their hard-fought kadti or agri-farm lands to large agri-corporations for lease payments and a promise of employment. But without access to the four basic resources mentioned earlier, there really was no other choice. Then approximately 30 years ago, circa 1987 to 88, during the presidency of Corazon Aquino, the Department of Agriculture under then-Secretary Sani Dominguez started the Livelihood Enhancement for Agricultural Development or LEAD program in partnership with the Management Association of the Philippines or MAP as program implementers. Then in 1987, following the ASEAN Summit hosted by the Philippines, from February to November 2017, President Rodrigo Duterte formally endorsed inclusive growth through inclusive business as his government's strategic initiative for poverty reduction in the country by establishing the Inclusive Business Promotion Center under the Board of Investments of DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez. The first and most successful of LEAD's many projects was the Papaya Outgrower program of Del Monte Philippines Incorporated, with small farmers producing the papaya requirements for the corporation's tropical fruit cocktail sold internationally. What started with a micro-lending program from the United Coconut Planters Bank, financing a pilot area of about 10 hectares, this has now grown to over 1,000 hectares cultivated by about 800 small growers, supplying 90% of Del Monte's annual papaya needs. After only a few months of successful operations, other commercial banks and microfinance institutions likewise followed UCPB, thereby lowering the effective interest and extending greater financial assistance to the small papaya growers. This successful pilot business model between an agribusiness corporation and small farmer producers would be the precursor for what is popularly known today as inclusive growth through inclusive business, with inclusive business defined as engaging the bottom of the pyramid in the core business of business. The partnering of Del Monte Corporation with the small farmers enabled them to have access to the four basic resources mentioned earlier. Del Monte provided not only the all-important guaranteed, dependable market for the small farmers' papaya produce, the company also provided the certified papaya seedlings to ensure that the harvest would be the exact fruits needed by the canning factory 6 months later. In addition, Del Monte shared their growing technologies, growing expertise, and management know-how to maximize the small growers' productivity and profitability. This minimized the risk factor banks are very careful about in any startup new ventures. All of these factors gave the banks the critical confidence necessary to extend product loans to the small growers to plant and cultivate the crop. But But what about the company? The major benefits business entities get via partnership where small growers produce the necessary commodities needed by the agri-value chain means that companies do not have to spend for machinery, supervision, land rentals, security budgets, and all the numerous expenses involved if they did it themselves. The grower cooperatives absorb the natural risks inherent to agricultural production such as typhoons, drought, insect infestation, among others. Business is guaranteed quality of harvests delivered at the factory gates. Business eliminates erratic free market price fluctuations through previously negotiated pricing formulas. Business reduces land and tenurial problems since the landowners are now the cultivators themselves. Farming communities in northern Mindanao now thank Del Monte for the win-win partnership. Del Monte, for its part, is also grateful for the benefits the partnership with the small growers brought them. Del Monte's Papaya Outgrower program is a good example of how a participative partnership with small farmer communities can be a more sustainable, more rewarding way of doing business. The Inclusive Growth through Inclusive Business program looks forward to fostering this paradigm for firms throughout the region and beyond by demonstrating that indeed, inclusive business is good business for business.